We're going up, up, up to the Upper Marae, where stories lift and voices fly. Put your tea towels down, let your worries fade. Open the gates, let the memories cascade. In this podcast world, we give it our best. So grab your cup or come say hi, no jest. We're going up to the Upper Marae, where conversations flow and spirits can't lie.
Kia ora, Bola and Shalom. Welcome to the next Upper Marae Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Alexander Stevens Te Tuarua. I'm continuing to be here with my fellow co-host, Chris Hennessy. Kia ora, my brother.
Kia ora, bro.
Kia ora, kia ora. I was thinking about the role of Wairua spirituality and the purpose that it plays in men's healing and well-being. You talked about it in the previous podcast. I felt relief that I didn't have to find a way of bridging this conversation because you saved me after we had a come to Jesus moment. So given that, what does spirituality actually mean for you? Because it can mean different things to different people. So let's go there.
Yeah, 100%. For me, like I guess I grew up being Pacific Islander. Faith and Christianity it's cultural, isn't it? It's just part of our language, culture, and heritage, and obviously that shapes our values and our the rhythms to how we're brought up. But yeah, I mean it's a two-edged sword because there was some stuff that I experienced which I think was probably against what faith teaches, and I guess you see hypocrisy too, and just humans being humans as well. But I guess at this age, as an adult, faith is important to me. Faith in God, faith in Jesus, and it's personal and different for everyone.
Yes.
But it's key to influencing everything else in regards to our well-being and the different areas of our lives that we talk about, like psychological health and emotional health and even physical health. That eventually, we wear on the outside how we see ourselves on the inside, to a degree. And so like even in the last podcast we talked about things that help us manage our stresses and pressures in life and when things feel overwhelming. And for some of us we reach for things like prayer and we reach for fellowship with other people of faith, and we just have, I guess, practices within spirituality that give us a bigger picture, I guess, something more to hope for beyond ourselves, and maybe sometimes that's all that's keeping us going, if we're being honest. I think it's really important, and it's different for everyone. But yeah, it's probably something we don't talk about enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that when I was training in terms of counselling and mental health and addictions and all that stuff, Wairua spirituality was not included as part of the process, but yet, I've met hundreds, if not thousands of men over 20 plus years, and whether they name it or not, that topic of Wairua and spirituality always comes up. One of the things that I still think about it even now, with our men who say have been affected by sexual abuse, they often feel disconnected from their faith because their question is how could some being allow this to happen? And I don't have an easy answer for that. But yet they want to continue. They want to be connected back into faith. They just need that kind of question. Now, I don't expect you to answer this, my friend, because I still haven't been able to answer it. But
that's a great point.
Yeah, and so when I think about spirituality, some of the things I think is there are things like gut instinct that help, with my own decision making. I find that when there's a natural flow or sequence of events that seem to propel me in a way forward, I often think of those as Wairua moments. Meeting you, Mel, and Ravi are great examples again of Wairua moments. Now, don't turn red, my friend, but because as a good example, we haven't spoken about this. But you were vital in helping me with my own PhD when you stepped up to be Rehua, which was one of the stars. And to me, all those moments helped with my PhD, right? So when I talk about spirituality, it it just seemed to all kind of flow. Wairua, the breakdown of it is two flowing waters between the physical and the spiritual realms, and it all just kind of, connects for me. So for you, what does your own practice of spirituality or religion look like? Is it prayer? Is it church? Like, what does it look like? Or whatever it is, what does it look like for you?
I mean, it's a way of being. I don't want to put it in a box, because I think, and it's a bit more like of Western to compartmentalize things.
Totally.
Whereas if we think about us being Māori and Pacific, all those things they're not separate, but there's distinctions. But they all they're all part of our being is made up of all these things, and spirituality is key to that.
Yes.
And for me, so what it looks like is it informs my parenting, and it informs how I interact in the workplace and walk in integrity. Like, am I doing the right thing when no one's looking?
Yes.
Am I treating people with respect and dignity, in spite of how I might be feeling or being treated? It helps me on there's times when I'm driving to a situation where I know this is going to be a really uncomfortable conversation.
Right.
But as the leader, I'm responsible for facing into this, and often it's prayer that helps settle my own heart, and it also helps give me perspective. Like, this person is a person of value. This person is created in the image of God, and I should treat them as such, even though I don't really like them at this moment. So there's just subtle reminders in there when I'm just reflecting or prayerful or just trying to put people in context, myself included. So that's sort of some of the ways that influences me. But I just want to sort of back the truck up to a point you made around, because being Māori and Pacific, spirituality is just an intrinsic part of our culture. And I think when there's been a breakdown of that in an individual's life, whether there's been an abuse, a disconnect, or something or other and they're trying to reconnect, the question is not whether there is a God, but it's whether God is good.
Yes.
How can this stuff happen to me and have happened, and that's often the disillusion that we are met with. And so I think there is a restorative component in there that we have to journey with and wrestle with, and in our own personal journeys around that as well.
I know that for some of the men that I've been working with, part of that journey was going through the Royal Abuse Commission. The Royal Commission into the abuse inquiry. All the trauma that government, and so for many of the men it was like, we'll do that, but first, and because a lot of it came through faith-based schools. So. And then once that happened, and especially what's come up with like news articles recently has then created those those spaces to be able to have those conversations. And so for some of the men that I've been working with, that connection back to spirituality has been actually reconnected back with some of the other guys that they went to school with, who unfortunately they didn't know had also been affected, which then goes back to a previous podcast that we spoke about in terms of I'm not alone. There was this, I just wish that it hadn't happened. Now, try not to laugh at me, Chris, but as you know, I was looking at doing a second PhD and looking at doing...
I thought you had started.
No, that was my fourth master's.
Oh,
anyway. But I was going to be in theology, right? Only because I like the idea of being introduced as in health science, kaupapa Māori and theologist. I just thought, what great titles, although your title outranks mine. But
don't believe that.
No, but what I was going to say to you is that it's really interesting because lots of, again, our Māori and Pacific are using the traditional Māori or Pacific gods as a way of reconnecting back into their Christian faith, which I haven't seen before, but it's interesting because so pūrākau is the Māori word for storytelling, so they're looking at all these kind of Polynesian oral stories of different gods, and then thinking, actually, how do I apply this to connect back to my faith? Like a quick example is Te Ika a Maui. So, they want to pull up this massive monster that's under the the waves. They're absolutely petrified what's going to come up. By then, they've got like a group of people in their waka to do it. And then to them, they're starting to switch about, that this only reaffirms, recommits to their faith. So it's an interesting space. And I've been wanting to do a theology PhD. I'm in a waiting line at the moment of 2 years. So, in our last episode we had a come to Jesus moment. So I said to meet him first before getting my doctorate in theology. But it's interesting though, in terms of how men want to find a way forward. So for some of the guys that I work with, and including myself, connecting back to spirituality is just like being out in nature. Now, while you're warmly in bed, I'm normally up and about, walking about 10 o'clock around the beach at night because, 1, there are no people around. 2, I don't want to say hi to walkers. 3, runners. And 4, bikers. I just want to connect in with nature. And as I'm connecting in with nature, we spoke about this as well, I'm reflecting, I'm thinking about the day that's been. I've been thinking about stuff that's been happening at AUT.
I think a couple of points there is another thing that I've found within, I guess the faith community, Christian spaces, sometimes we can over spiritualize things that are just not like it's not the right language, and so sometimes spirituality I've found in some situations can be a two-edged sword. It's something that helps us and influences us and that gives us hope and so on and so forth. But I find that some people can use it as a bit of a guise to not face into reality. And so I can think of several people. Go while I'm reflecting on this. For me it's around finding the right balance and knowing that spirituality is key and fundamental and influences everything we do, especially as Māori and Pacific. But knowing that everything is not like this overly spiritual, event. And why I'm saying that is because sometimes we need to just help our people re-engage with reality because they've been so far removed for whatever reason.
Yes.
As well. So I think it's around finding the right language to apply to the right situations and the right things. And we want our kids to be able to articulate themselves accurately and well and walk in different spaces and know how to like adapt to what's happening in and around them and have the right language too. So I think that's the other thing I've observed as well, that it's just a caution. I don't know if you've sort of
my other co-host Nigel, who is also a Christian, he talks about the same thing. He challenges people on this very topic, which so I'm loving this conversation. Is it divine intervention or is it your thinking on it? And there can be two different things. One of the things that I was contemplating as you were talking is that with the men that I work with, there is I don't like the word vulnerability. I just can't think of another word right now. And so when people come in, you were talking about guys, and I'm always careful about those that guise themselves within a spiritual role, because for some of our men, there is vulnerability and they're looking for answers, and so they kind of naturally gravitate towards something that might connect with them, which can often, but not always be like a connection to letting go of self-responsibility. And is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like, sometimes you just got to call things for what they are.
Yes.
Like that's something that you got to own, or that's something that happened to you. And I know that's hard for you to accept, but the only way you're going to heal and move forward from it is if we put the right language around it and call it what it is, and not sort of, carry on the way things are going with regards to the I guess this figurative language that you're using. And that's particularly true in counselling spaces too. Calling things what they are is a key to healing and finding a way forward from difficult situations.
It reminds me of a really good example. I think enough time has passed about 2 or 3 years ago, I was really working well with an individual. And this, by the way, this isn't an uncommon thing, working with an individual. And what sometimes happens is that our men get a bit scared. That's that fear of success, rather than failure, because failure they're used to, not success. So as we were overcoming all these challenges, I could see him growing, but he kind of got the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a phone call from him. This is going back a few years, to say that he had a vision from God that who I am didn't align with his Christian values, and that he wanted to stop seeing me.
How did you take that?
Well, two things. One, from this conversation, I just thought, was it a divine intervention, or is this your own fear that actually you're doing really well, and your natural response is to bolt? Because what happens if
that flight?
Flight,
I was just about
fight,
to say,
freeze, fold. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, please.
But if he wasn't feeling it anymore, because there is times with counsellors where there's a natural end to it.
Yes. Normally that's me going, it's an end. Goodbye.
I know for me, like I've seen several different counsellors over the years, and I've come to a point where like, okay, I think we've arrived at a point where that season's ended, and I can move on from seeing you, and that's normal. And that's any counsellor worth their salt should be making themselves redundant.
Absolutely, opening the door, waving goodbye.
And that's true, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. But if this particular individual had just said, "Look, I think this is not the end of the road, but no, I think
there was no boys to men, my friend. It was just very much. Well, if he did sing, I'd be impressed. No.
He goes, I think I don't need to see you anymore.
Yeah,
you would respect that way more because you're like, I've done my job.
Yes. Yes.
Versus like I've had this vision that I shouldn't see you anymore.
Yes.
It's kind of like, well,
yes.
Yeah, I'm not invalidating your experience.
No.
But just own the situation.
Yes.
Like
So I named it exactly what you said. I think any good counsel with a grain of salt. And I just said to him, is it a divine intervention, or is it your fear that you're actually succeeding and you're scared of what you may become? Anyway, respected their decision. Then the brown stuff hit the fan. Then they said they had another vision that they had to come back to me. So I took them back on the condition that there's no more divine interventions of that nature. But and later on, it was a fear. So again,
but you can see it.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is using spirituality or Wairua as an excuse to avoid certain things, I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, I agree.
But conversely, I think that Wairua or spirituality is a powerful force to help
100%.
make meaning and sense of
Totally.
who you are.
Yeah. And it's about discerning what's what, isn't it?
Yes.
And growing that muscle.
Well, put it this way, every time I ring you, I'm going to feel grounded, because that's the Wairua that you have. Now, whether that's the reality or not, Chris, I have no idea, but I know that when I ring you, it's going to feel grounded, that space is going to feel safe, and then I can talk to you. And God bless you, you hear all kinds of inappropriate things from me, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't trust, who you are. And I guess it's also me testing that VAR out and go, oh yes, still accepted, and here we go. How long did it take for you to kind of build that environment? Because I know I'm not the only one that feels this way with you.
Oh, sorry, what do you mean building environment?
In terms of creating a space where other people can feel safe, they can be themselves, within reason, he likes to say. But also it doesn't feel heavy.
Yeah, I think I guess I sort of grew into the person that I needed in a sense growing up. So, treat others how you want to be treated, as the good book says. And I sort of think about, what if I was coming to someone that I trusted and respected with something that I don't necessarily want people to know. How do I want to be treated, and what response would I want? And so I guess it comes back to the empathetic position or stance. Listening well, validating someone's experience. Just because what someone's telling you is not reality doesn't mean you can't validate it. It's real for them. So I guess I just try to be someone that would treat me in that situation a certain way, and Yeah, I guess that's a starting point. It doesn't always work. Particularly in parenting, like sometimes with in the midst of my frustrations, I don't have the best responses with my kids. But I try to apologise if I'm not.
Right.
And just be like, hey, 'cause I was out of line there, or...
You're saying you're not the perfect father.
Far
You come
from it.
across as it. I love it.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. They will tell you.
Yes.
It's their experience of me that would indicate, not my perception of myself.
Sure.
But yeah, and if I'm not, if I haven't responded in a mature and good way, then I have to own that and say sorry, and then hopefully they do this. They do the same. Like they will treat others the same when they've stepped out of line, or have mistreated someone, or hasn't had a right response. Maybe they'll own it and they'll ask for forgiveness too.
I'll share something with you, kind of final thoughts. So before Dad died, he was in hospital, and I've got older siblings, much older siblings, and so in a weird way we kind of paired up, like the eldest, the middle, and the youngest kind of. So when we went to see Dad, we could only see him in twos.
Oh,
rather than everyone.
Right.
So we decided, for whatever reason, the oldest would go in first, then the middle, from each generation.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting because you talked about an apology, and that was the one thing I always wanted from Dad. Yeah. And I was this close to getting one. He reflected on being a father, right? And he was talking about that he had many regrets that he lived with, and I hadn't seen him in about a decade.
Right.
And I carry his full name, so this was an interesting thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why I'm the second, not because I'm showing off, because literally I am the second from him, and then he wanted to have a third. I was like, lol, well, I'm sorry, Father, but that's not going to be happening. The buck stops with me. But what happened was he was talking about all the regrets that he'd made as a father, and then he looked at myself and my older brother from another mother, and I just thought, oh, I'm actually going to get an apology, which is what I always wanted. Yeah. And then he looked at both of us and he stopped short.
Oh.
He goes, oh, well, that's that. And in my head, I was like, no. And so it was interesting that as a child, I had always wanted this thing that I thought would have been incredibly healing. And so, listening to your kōrero and actively apologizing, I actually think, to me as a child, I longed for to have my father acknowledge. And people aren't perfect.
No.
And I have to, and like I said, he was undiagnosed in terms of having schizophrenia at that time. So I do wonder, I think for me, an apology can be an incredibly powerful spiritual gift.
Yeah.
Apology and forgiveness. 100%. And what I often say to people...
It's bread and butter when it comes to faith, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then so you were talking about fold, so fight, what is it?
Freeze,
fold. And I guess part of my thing is also about not forgetting. So you can forgive, but don't forget. Otherwise, you're a fool. Otherwise, you allow people to keep doing these transgressions.
100%. Yeah.
So I think it's actually a really nice way to leave in terms of how faith and spirituality and religion, and then practical things like forgiveness, letting things go. Yeah. Final thoughts, my friend.
I really enjoyed this actually.
Yes. Me too. Like I said, you're one of the most reflective men that I know, and I just thought this is going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you, when it comes to talking about faith and spirituality, it's a topic that I get nervous about.
Really?
Yeah, I do, because I don't want to encroach on anyone else's beliefs. And
right. Hey, if they actively press the play button on Spotify to listen to this, then that's on them, not us, brother.
But yeah, I really appreciate just where this conversation went, and the importance of faith. That it's not, it influences every other aspect of our being, and this is about men's health and well-being, and so it needs to be touched on. And I appreciate your reflections and insights around just, it's not something to hide behind, but it is something that we can rely upon to help us reflect and to help us look to the future and then help us to find a way forward from situations and have as part of our rhythms.
Well, I guess my kind of final reflections is always deep gratitude, my friend. I mean, you were at the very beginning of my own doctoral research when we did videos around Mental Health Week, and that was like almost 7 years ago.
Wow.
So, and here we are, 7 years later, still looking fresh and young-ish. And I look forward to, I guess I look forward to seeing what the journey unfurls for both of us, because as I've gotten older, and I've shared this with you, especially in the realm of Wairua, you know, for me, my life now is about quality of people, not quantity. And I've often felt, you know, that our friendship and connection will endure. You know, we might not see each other all the time, but it's...
Definitely pick up where we leave off.
Exactly. Yeah. Then I make you laugh inappropriately 7 times, then off we go. So...
Mission fulfilled.
Yeah, mission fulfilled. Well, I feel a sense of satisfaction anyway. And on that note, thank you again, Christopher Hennessy, for your time. The gates of the Upper Marae are now closing. Mori ora.
Mori ora.